guy he wants to recommend. They end up taking both of them together as a bit of a package deal, and then Exile coming in as this new guy, 18 years old. The reason he hasn't been in the LCS before is because he just finished school, so he never really had a chance to commit to the LCS, but now he's here. Unicorn saying, we trust in this guy, we think he has a lot of potential, but we have to say, guys, when you make so many roster changes, and especially also a rookie mid laner, don't expect Unicorns to come flying in here and just play at a insanely high level from the start. It takes a lot of time for a team like this to gel together, synergy, communication, Exile getting used to the stage. So I think we can see Unicorns of Love lineup that will need some time before they can really show up.
No, that's true, and it's something we kind of glossed over a little bit. Exile in his first professional match on stage. It's not the first time Unicorns have done this. They brought in Rudy last year, if you recall, and he was able to at least adjust in the beginning, but it's a very big risk, and we'll see if the Unicorns' faith in these new players has paid off. Obviously, Chachi and Hillistang, still that backbone as we get in the picks and bans already kind of coming through here. Braum and Swain banned away. We did expect to see Swain in a few of these games, and the Fizz and the Trundle. Also that Ryze, very standard stuff.
Yeah, it seems like Swain, if we look at the games we've seen in Europe so far, been a bit of a target ban. Again, some of the teams wasn't even touched in the last series we saw here between Origin and T2. But now, Fizz, Trundle, so 2 flex bans from Unicorns of Love on their side. We still have that mix of Victor, Azir up here. We have Nidalee, Kindred. Again, we talked so much about in the last series, trading, constantly trading. You take Nidalee, fine, we get Kindred in a later rotation, but in the first one we can then get a Lucian, we can get an Azir. Lucian is available here. Mr. Rallis is a great Lucian play, we know that, but like earlier today, when Nidalee is open, she's the pick they jump on.
And they do get the pounce on the Cougar. Gilius will get that for prowling the jungle. And as we talked about, he loves to try and get the counter jungle on, get the invade, get the early game action going. He has now enabled on this pick. It's all up to what the rest of Schalke is able to give him in the early game.
Also important to note that move on Nidalee back in the NA LCS.
Yeah, that was kind of his mainstay.
That was his pick. Like, he was really, really strong in Nidalee. So it's also a bit of a takeaway from Schalke. But again, Gilius is the man I'm looking at. I want to see what he can do now that he can freely roam around the map. He has more stability around middle of the lane. If he can fulfill the potential, because we see some great mechanics from Gilius in-game. And he's had another split as well to adapt to being a professional jungler. So excited to see what he can do on Nidalee.
On the side of Unicorns, though, because of the way the bans went,
they didn't take Lucian?
They were able to give the Kindred away. But you're right, the Lucian was not picked up. Instead, they opted for an Echo.
Yeah.
With Chachi.
So my problem with this first rotation for Unicorns of Love is that technically Steve can just take a Maokai and you trade top lane picks. It is a very, very minimal difference between the Maokai and Echo in terms of value, and it just depends on which team you ask. A lot of teams would pick the Maokai above Echo, and Kindred is just a trade anyway, and you take it so early. So Unicorns are actually waiting. They want to see the picks from Schalke and then try and counter them, I would assume. But giving over Lucian after you've technically set up that thing where you give them Nidalee, you take Lucian, and you take Kindred for yourself later as Unicorns, very surprising, and I do not agree. Unless there's some hidden Lucian counter that they've been practicing and we're not aware of. But I think we would have seen it then.
I mean, the Unicorns of old would have been the ones to pull something crazy like that up. But all right, we do get what we expect out of Schalke on the other side, the rotation. They pick up the Maokai, they pick up the Lucian. It's on this next pick rotation to see what Unicorns do grab in answer for it.
I am really excited to see what kind of AD carry. I mean, Caitlyn is still there as a safer AD carry option. You can run like... Oh, we actually get Tarek.
Okay,
of course,
this
Unicorns of Love. Why not?
Is going to be fabulous. All right, so we have a Tarek pickup for Hilly.
Sheepy with pink hair, by the way, looks... well, red hair, I guess.
I mean, he didn't dye his mustache to match it. I'm a little disappointed.
Tarek is here. We've seen him.
So is the Victor.
Victor,
importantly, is here as well.
Right. But the Tarek, we've seen him over in the LCK.
Yeah.
It is a pick that is very, very strong in team fights. Funny enough. Like, CC, his ulti as well. Keep in mind, the ulti takes quite some time to charge up. It's not instant. It's not like a Kayle ulti.
No, otherwise it would be a little ridiculous, right?
So, AD carry choice. I mean, clearly Unicorns of Love here are aware of the fact they might face a range support plus Lucian lane with a Tarek. So that is not a lane you want to opt into as Unicorns of Love. Definitely want to look to swap out of that one. Still surprised about this pick. I'm still shocked that Lucian actually went through to the second rotation there for Schalke.
And we get a Vlad. We saw a little bit of this in the CS qualifier as well. It was about 2-2 if I recall correctly. And now Fox will get a chance to try it out against the Victor.
Yeah, and Vladimir is one of the mages who did benefit from the reword. His new Q, the way it stacks up, you get that proc from it with more movement speed, is very good for Vladimir. His damage on E is great. And it is the Twitch then. Okay, so there is basically the counter Unicorns had in mind. It's something that started over in the LPL in China. They started playing a lot of Twitch into Lucian. I actually had the pleasure of sitting down with Aaron, who's obviously the head coach of EDG now, almost the entire organization, when I visited the gaming house, and asked specifically about why this Twitch into Lucian. And it's not so much Twitch in itself will counter Lucian. It's a lot of it comes down to the fact that with Twitch, you kind of force the Lucian to play with passive in the mid game. It's very hard for Lucian to like overextend at risk of getting jumped. And also in team fights, Lucian with the low range will always hit like one target every time, then maybe get a piercing light on one or two.
Right.
Twitch can sit in the back line, open up and hit multiple targets, and it's a lot more effective as a team-fight AoE damage. And that makes it hard for Lucian to match it, because obviously he's just sitting there with his low range trying to hit in whoever is running first.
Right, not only that, but they've combined it with the Kindred, which with the Lamb's Respite, we did see a bit of that actually at MSI as well. It's really, really powerful when the Twitch is actually just completely safe.
And that was planned, obviously, because they gave away the Lucian. They're like, we got
So
Twitch.
they did have the crazy cool counter, so we'll have to see. Now, if you guys think that Schalke 04 can take a win in their first game as an organization here in the European LCS, tweet hashtag S04 win at LoL eSports, hashtag UOL win if you think the good old Unicorns will manage it with their Kindred Twitch composition. A little bit of razzle-dazzle spiced up with that Taric as well. We will find out as these teams load up onto the Rift. Let's get ready to roll into this game. Second one of the day over here on stream number 1. And we are on to the Rift.
Yes, we are, Pyra, and what an exciting pick and ban phase. Not only do you have Kindred ulti to keep Twitch alive doing his own ulti, you also have a Taric, and you have the crowd chain for Unicorns. Man, that pick and ban phase,
got a lot of good stuff in here.
So exciting to watch. Like, they gave away the Lucian. And still with this Twitch, we talked about some of the reasons it was picked in LPL against the Lucian. It's not like it's a hard counter. It's just a matchup they like to take, especially also later on in the game. And there's so many ways to keep Veritas alive. They're basically just telling him, stand there, close your eyes, pop your ulti, and just hit something. And we will have Taric ulti, we have Kindred, and we even have like Victor as well, who will obviously make it difficult to dive onto the Twitch.
Well, you know what's also great about these team comps is they're both running the double teleport. We're going to see a lot of movement around the map to try and fight for these dragons. God willing, we don't get another Cloud Drake, but you know, that being said. Also, I'm being told too that this is not the first Vlad we saw, because Splice did manage to pick it up and played that earlier on the other stream. So it's starting to see a little bit more play with those mage reworks as we have said.
Right.
Curious to see how it lanes though against the Victor.
So Vladimir is actually a fairly strong laner, especially because of the Q changes that happen to him. Also more damage early on from his E, where you don't have to stack it up to 4 times, and it costs quite a lot of health for you. You just charge it up, and it is strong for early trading. One of the problems for Vladimir is, in many ways, he builds... Let's see, actually, let's talk about it after, because Sprattle and Rallis Move spots them. He's in the bush right now, hiding. They're just checking if they are on their Proxadia team, they can force anything, deny them.
Okay.
Now they will get to the top lane, and we have a lane stop. But the Vladimir build order, what I see almost every single game is Spirit Visage into Rylai's into Warmorgs. So your damage is good, but you don't have the same damage as like a Victor when it comes to the straight up upfront burst. But you become a bit of like an off tank. Like, you're very hard to kill, you need to be focused down, and you have good consistent DPS constantly coming in. So he becomes extremely difficult to play against, and he's a really good snowballing champion, because once you get these tank items and you start getting ahead, the other team will not have the damage to kill you, and you can kind of just run around that backline all you want. But if he does fall behind, he offers very, very little. Poor wave clear, obviously. No CC from him either. But he's great once he gets ahead, and also laning phase for him is solid.
Okay, so we see the lane swap continuing to move the way we expected here with the teleport from Steve up to the top side. They will knock down the outer turrets respectively on either side. However, Chachi is a little bit slower to react to this one, so it might give Schalke a moment's speed.
Yeah, he can still TP in, do exactly the same. Definitely an advantage for Schalke early on in the swap here. Lucian is very good at pushing in early, and Twitch is not very good at pushing in early because he doesn't have AoE damage enough. You can just throw your poison at the minion wave and then use your expansion. That's about it, and it's not enough to fully clear out the wave. And Lucian with the piercing light and the passive, if he deals more here. So good early start by Schalke. Will most likely only give them like a 4-5 seconds advantage because they need this entire wave here to die out, or at least most of it before they take it down.
So nothing really significant given over for that slight momentary movement up forward. Steve will be able to knock down the turret. The crowd will definitely love that one as we just wait for that to come out. And, ooh, he does.
Good timing for him. Down bottom lane, we're going to see exactly the same. From the Unicorns of Love, Schalke gets it here. I think that was basically 5 seconds. Yeah.
Roughly within the exact same movement of all of that. So,
it does still, like, what matters is actually not when you kill the tower specifically. It's also how fast, well, it's not the only thing that matters. It's also how quick your AD carry and support can recall. Because the faster they get to lane, the more they get to deny from the enemy top lane. And you can see here, Chachi just quickly pushed out the wave as much as he could, because then Rylus already showed up. A little bit more time on top side for Steve. Get 3 low caster minions he can pick up as well with the sapling. Hylissang looking fantastic on this new Terry.
Give him the bashing buff over to Veritas as well. And Steve does not want to fight in the 1v2 situation. They should be swapping back once again. Taking a look down bottom side, the first dragon will definitely be worth fighting for. It is the Mountain Drake. Again, we've still yet to see any Infernals, at least on this stream. But it's not that big of a deal very early on in the game.
And if you wonder why Schalke lane swapped in this game, even when they have Evolution early on, who is such a powerful laner, 2 reasons for it. Either one, they thought Unicorns had swapped to top side with the Twitch Taric and they were ready to take the 2v2 lane against them. Or 2, because when the first dragon is either Mountain or Infernal, the dragon does have a lot of value. So when you swap top side, you take that early tier 1 tower and the other team will take your tier 1 tower on bot side. And then you will, in almost every situation, swap it around. That means Schalke is now on bottom side when the tier 1 dies, and they can actually go for that dragon if they want to. Because if you take the first tier 1 tower only and then go dragon, you fall really far behind in tempo, experience, farm, so that's not really great. You want to take down these tier 1 towers first, and then you can opt into that early dragon. Then it's a lot safer, you don't lose as much, and it's much easier to go back to standard lanes. We might still see where you just go back to, again, another swap around and you push for tier 2 towers. In this game, Schalke is not opting in for the early dragon, instead swapping to top side.
Well, it's also harder to take, right? The extra resistance is from the Mountain Drake, making it a bit more of a difficult option. Still, Schalke do have a gold advantage. They're just knocking things down a little bit quicker. They're getting CS differential in their favor. It's 6 minutes. We do see the swap around back and forth for both towers, so it has been a very careful affair, I'd say, for both these teams to start things off.
Could almost guarantee you, had it been an Infernal Drake, which is easier to take down, they would have gone for it. No, Schalke would have just gotten it after taking tier 1 bot tower. But as you said, because it is the Mountain Drake, it is much harder to kill, takes longer. Then they say we don't want to fall behind, because you got to keep in mind that getting Mountain Drake now, the value you get instantly is not that great. You don't want to fall behind in experience and farm, because that impacts you instantly. And suddenly makes it much harder for you to get to towers and use that Mountain Drake. So you don't want to put everything towards the dragons. You want to make sure experience is your #1 thing in the early game.
Doing as much as they can to make sure that is the case. Hylissang on a roam, just trying to grab himself a lot of vision as Fox with Tides of Blood. Sweet new animation on that one with the reworked Vlad. Just making Exile's life a little bit hard as his debut in the LCS here. Down a little bit in CS in that mid lane, and that's really been obviously the only straight up lane because we've had these swaps back and forth constantly, but things should definitely settle a little bit. I want to see who starts to push that edge. Schalke have the gold lead after the swaps have been completed, but will they be able to hang on to it? Gilius threatening a little bit, spotted out by that ward, but he does clear it away.
Not a surprise really with the mid lane setup. Again, Victor really wants that early Hex core upgrade before he really starts getting more lane pressure and start pushing back properly. Kind of easy farming for Vladimir at this point, so definitely no big surprise. Gilius, of course, been farming like a madman on his middle lane here, been getting everything. He's ahead in levels. He's on the bottom side where they push up again. Schalke can technically opt in towards this dragon, but because it is Mountain Drake, it takes longer. The risk is there, but they have full control on the bottom side with vision. Jungler is there. They're pushed in another lane. Might just say, guys, we need more damage before we want to do it. Again, we want to keep the pressure going because we want to get impact now. We don't
want to get a dive. Tides of Blood, but there's the Chaos Storm. Fox is very low. He's going to have to spend his pool, and Move was there as well. So he won't be able to get out scot-free on that one. Takes a little bit extra damage, and the rest of his team can't get there in time to help him make the play. Schalke come a little late to the party. Now looks like they might still set up for Drake, though.
Well, again, for Schalke, it's about doing something now. It's about getting an advantage now, not get a dragon that gives you an advantage in 5-10 minutes. That's why they constantly keep moving between lanes and value. the buffs here. Value, the tower pressure. Veritas.
Oh, he's caught up for just a second. Hylissang will jump in front of the spear to take the hit there. A lot of damage dealt on both sides. Spraddle was absorbing it all through the Wolf's Frenzy, and that is going to turn Schalke towards this Mountain Drake now, as they know Unicorns have to back.
Yeah, as soon as ulti is gone here from Veritas, Schalke feel like now we can go for this. And also, they've done everything. They pushed in the bot lane. They had the pressure player in towards the mid lane. That didn't work for them. Obviously, a little bit surprised maybe by Excel's damage. In the end, they get that first dragon we talked so much about for Schalke. Great control in the early game. And as I talked about with this swap, when you go to top side and you trade these tier 1 towers, you end up on the bottom side with your dual lane, obviously. You can set up that deep vision because while you're taking that tier 1 tower on bot side, there's no one to defend. So the jungle is also yours. Your jungle can just walk in, put up his vision, clear the camps, and then you have control on bottom side.
Oh! There's a smite away from move. He does manage to complete the steal, as it was repeated on the bottom side by Gilius. So there's been some jungle traded back and forth, but obviously early game counter jungle has been a little bit of a different game due to the fact that the swaps happened so early on. We're approaching that 10-minute mark. Schalke still retaining this 1,000 gold lead, and they have the Mountain Drake. Interesting first item choice, though, for the Vladimir. He strapped on a Proto Belt.
Okay, we might see Spirit Visage coming in second then. It is an item, again, it's about, first of all, giving that extra burst of damage coming from it, but also the extra mobility. If you can get close enough to land your E, obviously, as is Vladimir here.
Maybe you can get right up in Victor's grill. Maybe that's the plan.
I mean, again, you want to get a range of Tides of Blood. It's pretty long range now, though. But it's also, again, just getting that extra burst. When you apply your ulti, get that extra damage coming in. Obviously, get the Proto Build. I can see the value from it, definitely.
Well, Veritas and Hylissang roving together in this mid, but it will be hard to still catch Fox out.
It's also because he's obviously not under threat in the lane at all. Had he been against something that could actually try and kill him, then he would have gone Spirit Visage for sure to get the early MR. But in this lane, he has just been farmed back and forth, and Victor doesn't really have kill pressure.
Well, and Fox has really not been pushed back from the farm either. He's the one who's getting it over. As you said, the lane phase definitely favors him.
Yeah.
But he's continually building this lead, and Unicorns haven't really been able to punish it in any way, shape, or form.
The range on this one is once again really good now for him. It's very easy to always apply it in team fights. Proto Build will help a little bit there, but it's mainly honestly for the extra damage coming in. Apply ulti, do your full combo with the Proto Build. A lot of burst damage suddenly coming for him, and more focus on being a damage dealer straight up than just being a mix between damage dealer and a tank. Obviously with his passive, which is honestly I think the strongest thing about Vlad is his passive. It's giving him so many extra stats and allowing him to build tanky at the same time.
Yeah. And to be fair, Schalke aren't really lacking for tanks at the moment. They've got Maokai, arguably one of the best tanks at the moment. And Spraddle is on this Alistar, which will give them a significant front line on his Unbreakable Will. Fox is going in. There's the Chaos Storm really quickly. He throws down the Hemo Plague and doesn't actually have to use the pool to get out. Move makes a move up. Gilius was there, but they're nothing doing. Exile stops his back for a second, sees the opportunity again.
And it might look a bit weird, like why is he so close to dying all the time? Like why is he going on the tower? It's because he can just sustain back up. Yeah. The Victor can't.
Oh, there he goes! Holy moly, that's a first blood for Fox.
I told you, the damage from his Tides of Blood is insane.
And that's that Proto Belt.
Well, no, that was on cooldown, Pyra.
Oh, didn't he just use it?
Don't get too excited.
I think he used it and then flashed.
Did he?
We gotta look back.
Well, still, he had a ton of
Either way, that was a lot on the Tides of Blood charge up, and Exile was not prepared for that coming at him. First blood, solo kill for Fox, and you can already see. I mean, yeah, the meta's changed a lot, but Ico would not have done that.
Straight out. I mean, it is an upgrade. We know that. We've seen it already in action now. Unicorns of Love, a bit as expected with all these new players. Hard for them, it seems, as a team to really react to all the pressure from Schalke, but it's also, again, a smart use of that lane swap. Because once that tower died on bot side, they could push it into tower, the tier 2 tower, get the vision control, and just constantly keep pressure between two lanes. And the damage from Vladimir is much higher in the early game compared to before, and if you don't expect it, stuff like this will happen. Tough start for Exile, his very, very first game on the LCS stage.
Yeah.
Let's see it again with the damage.
Okay, I was wrong.
Oh, yeah.
He didn't use the Proto Belt. He just looked fancy because
a lot about the damage when you get to charge it up fully. Again, his E, just charge it up fully and get in, and the damage is crazy.
Yeah. Gilius moving forward now. The spear, nowhere near hitting there on Exile. Still has to munch the biscuits or heal the potions rather. Push into his tower for the time being. Next Dragon is a minute and a half away. This will be really valuable for Schalke because it is the Infernal Drake. We'll finally get to see that one, but they need to keep control of this side of the map. And you can see a lot of unicorns here. The blue buff's going to be fought over, and maybe Gilius and Spraddle don't want to invest that heavily into it with all those unicorns around.
Again, great use of this mid lane pick.
Oh, there's Chaos Storm. See how much he can sustain through it. Deceptive health bars. He's going all in, and he does throw the Hemo Plague. A whole lot of burst, and that's going to be
winning that one, Exile.
Flashing away. Fox can't finish the job, but he doesn't even need
Veritas.
to. But there's Veritas. Rat-a-tat-tat, and he will make it rain right on the back of Fox's head. That is a return kill, revenge kill. Next Dragon still a minute up, and coming Steve and Chachi dueling it out.
Just a tank fight, Pyro.
That's a wet noodle, I know.
Not as exciting as the mid lane one.
I'm still excited to fish
Again, also before that flashing, just great use of the new Q from Vladimir, charging it up, getting that 100% extra damage from it, and then surprising Exile clearly. But another trade, Veritas picks up a kill, important for him. Like, Unicorns of Love and their composition is built so much around this Twitch, and just keeping him alive doing his ulti. Combine that obviously with the AoE damage from Victor, and you have these team fights that can be so explosive. And even if Unicorns do fall behind, if Schalke overextends in a fight, suddenly 2 of the team members drop. See the fight one more time. So it's a good start by Exile, but now he thinks he can actually burst down the Vladimir enough, and doesn't really account for the extra sustain coming from ulti proc there, a bit extra damage coming, and now it's just about the Twitch sneaking in.
He flashed right out of his Q, and yeah, that was pretty much all she wrote for Fox. Still, Exile having a really hard time in this lane, getting bailed out a little bit there by his duo lane, and now Fox once again will find a lot of damage coming his way. This time it was Move who made his way there. Dragon's live. There's a lot of vision control here for Schalke. Will they be able to take it is the question.
Yeah, Veritas one more time. Sneaking in with the rest of the team.
Okay, they get the down. They do. Ignites on. Oh, that is a lot of damage, but he pulls away all the same. Still, Exile this time manages to secure the kill. One last tick of the Ignite was starting to push him down, and they managed to get the kill anyways. Unicorns, 4 members stacked here, pushing on this tower. The rest of Schalke scrambling to try and defend, but they will not be able to do much.
Keep having some of these plays here with some of the new champions coming in, obviously in 610. Tarek was reworked some time ago, but haven't really been available. Surprising. Pool was available to be used. But then the flash stun happens, and suddenly Vladimir gets locked in place, can't pull, goes down, you know. It's about like, oh, if I expect this to happen, I can just pull out of it straight away, but then it's a flash stun from a Tarek instantly, or he didn't expect it, and then as soon as you're stunned, well, then you're gonna die.
But with Unicorns backing away after pushing the tower, they give away the Infernal Drake to Schalke.
Yeah.
Let's see this play again, though, and how Fox got caught. Dazzled right at the last second.
Yeah, and just reacting very slowly with the pool here. Definitely not expecting a flash in from Hylissang. And ends up going down for it, losing mid tower. But as you said, they get Infernal Drake. At the same time, Unicorns trying to get something on the other side of the map, trading it for Rift because Schalke just recalled. A lot of small things happen, but it's all around the mid lane, honestly. Fights here, fights there.
Unicorns have been recognizing, though, the threat Fox is posing. And that's the second time, technically the third time they've attempted to really shut him down. A lot of pressure now on Fox in this mid lane. And Exile has some breathing space to become this late game ridiculous victor. Still plenty of time left in this game, though.
But if you are the Unicorns of Love at this point, yes, your Twitch picked up an early kill and assist, but it's against, of course, the Ghostblade Black Cleaver Lucian. So even if you try and assassinate him, the return damage from Rallis is going to be insane on some of these squishy targets with the Ghostblade. So you always have to keep that in mind. Twitch might not be able to just one-on-one the Lucian, but that's not what he's looking for, obviously. He's looking to be a team-fighting monster, and he's going in now.
Yeah, Hilly taking a lot of damage there. His ultimate was on himself, and with calling from Ralles, Unicorns are going to think twice about continuing to chase that up. But Ralles and Hilly both very low. But meanwhile, back in this side of the jungle, still everyone is caught up in a pinch. Lamb's Respite to keep them all alive, but Fox will take out Exile, and they're caught in a 3-man parallel convergence. Double kill for Fox, though, and he's looking
He's just having
to get
fun
out.
now.
Yeah, he's fine. He's completely fine. That health bar is so deceptive, and Chachi's is gone. Gilius takes him out.
And that's what we talked about earlier with Vladimir. You need to be able to burst him down. You can't just hit him a few times. He'll always just sustain by. This one, however, wasn't a real fight. It was Unicorns getting collapsed on from multiple angles. Schalke is doing a great job playing this pressure game. Everything starts from the bot lane, then it leads in towards the jungle, then it goes into the mid lane. Over and over and over, multiple times this game. They have the Nidalee constantly applying pressure.
Yeah.
Gilius has been living in the jungle of Unicorns of Love. And Veritas, yes, when he uses his ulti, he does have some teamfight impact, but that's gone after this one because look, Hylissang gets jumped, uses his own ulti, obviously very early, so Veritas opens up because Rylus gets stunned at the same time, but now Tarek is useless and the Twitch isn't strong because ulti is gone, and you just see the collapse from Schalke. Echo still sitting top here. Exile, sure, you have a small shield, who cares? He's a Vladimir on his way and the rest of Schalke, and now you can just dive on the turrets because you can always just sustain back.
Easy peasy move.
I love the animation.
Yeah, it just looks like it hurts. Schalke are playing really well coordinated, and this is somewhat what we expected from them, having played together 4 out of 5 of them for a fairly long time now. However, we always expected them to be coordinated, but generally so-so in the game, middle of the pack. This is looking better. This is looking like a team that is understanding the flow of the game, and that practice you talked about, how many games they got in to train before the split, it seems to have paid off so far.
Yeah, Gilius was basically saying they've been practicing for over a month really for this. She's been ready. They had the roster change already sorted. Steve taking quite some damage, and here's Kindred.
Kindred runs right into him. There's the twisted advance. Steve trying to use it to taxi away. He does have to burn Flash though.
Stays
a
alive.
Lot spent to stay alive, but he does.
But yeah, again, as we were talking about before, they've been practicing for such a long time. They knew this roster change very early on in the offseason was going to happen. And we just wanted to see an Elements team who made less of the stupid mistakes we saw in the spring split, and also had a much better understanding of how to push your advantage. Because that was one of the big problems for them in spring. They didn't understand how to push the advantage. This Schalke lineup now have been keeping the pressure going ever since the lane swap ended. They knew exactly what they were doing, constant pressure on bot side, have the Nidalee, and just allowed this Vladimir to play aggressive and mid at the same time. Like, have you seen Steve really be part of anything other than one team fight? No, because he didn't have to, didn't play around him.
There we go. Fox still holding firm. Damage he's dishing out onto Chachi. Protobelt dash away, has the Hemo Plague on Veritas and Chachi. 2-3 members on him. They can't quite take him down. That draws a little bit more pressure away from the top and mid. Schalke starting to push advantage in 2 out of 3 lanes. 3 out of 3 lanes, really. Unicorns are trying to cover the gap, but they're slipping away here. It's 5k gold lead in 20 minutes.
Yeah, no one can really stop the Vladimir in the side lane. Spirit Visage is completed. Fantastic when you lane against something like a Victor. Obviously even more sustain as well. I like the build order for Veritas with the Blade of the Rune King. A lot of other guys build like Ghostblade as a first item, which is also strong, but when you're against an HP stacking lineup like a Vladimir, like a Maokai, the Blade has a lot of value for you. So definitely a good choice for him. And of course we see Exile instant upgrading that Hex Core. We talked about in the last series. You want to get that extra speed on your ulti now. It is so impactful on the Victor.
But we got to start seeing Unicorns group to utilize their tools, because they have, we talked about the Kindred Twitch combo, obviously with
the Tarek as well.
Another invulnerable. All they needed was a Kayle mid, basically, and it's like, this Twitch lives forever. But they haven't really been able to utilize it. They've been getting caught out of position. They've been allowing Schalke to blindside them into unfavorable skirmishes and then take towers and drakes and pretty much everything around the map. Unicorns need to be able to fight more cohesively than this.
Right, but when you start falling behind, because obviously the pressure of a Nidalee and a Lucian and then all that bot lane focus from Schalke, you never get to this group as 5 and get your team fight. So obviously it's because of Schalke and the way they've been playing early on that Unicorns haven't been able to group up and use that Twitch to really win a team fight and the protection for him. And the problem is with this 1-3-1 that Schalke now can bring is that the Vladimir again can do whatever he wants. He can literally do whatever he wants in the side lane. Yeah. Unicorns want to get either a surprise catch onto him when he's like pushing too far up and they go with the Twitch and catch him, or they want to get that open fight where the Twitch can try and be the big carry, but it's very hard to get because Schalke is obviously playing the entire map and will only go for you when they can flank you and surprise you basically.
Infernal Drake picked up by Schalke.
It'll
give them that extra bit of a buff. Once again, adding more AD and AP to the fire, and because they're starting to scale faster than Unicorns, that starts to get a little bit more dire. So yeah, 2 Infernal Drakes, 1 Mountain Drake, quick flash burn by Gilius there to get out of harm's way. So Schalke are showing up their advantages.
Yeah, we saw the worst combination earlier today with their cloud,
And now
cloud,
we've got
and
the
the
best.
ocean. Now we get like almost the best you can get. You can maybe argue Mountain first, the value, yes, no. But Infernal Drakes, 2 of them coming in a row for Schalke. Will be, of course, be another dragon coming later, and then the Elder Drake. But it's been a great start for them, and they've been able to cash in on their dragons. Unicorns will have to show something crazy in these team fights because everything is against them at the moment. Extra stats for Schalke, fed Vladimir, and it's basically about Exile and Veritas staying alive because of all the protection with Kindred and Taric. Keep in mind it is AoE, of course, for Taric as well, so it works for both.
I really like the way they look. It's like they're collecting gym badges. Schalke,
But you get the same twice? That doesn't
they went
work.
to the same one, but that's okay. You know, sometimes you might want an extra, pair it up. Gilius, got to be careful there. Okay, he does land a spear onto Veritas, though, and that's starting to hurt really bad. Plus, he's going to get the slow. It's the Rylai's. A lot of utility available on that. Ghostblade pop and a quick culling by Rala. Steve is still solo pushing up top here.
We need to see the synergy in team fights once we get there from Unicorns with the Taric and Kindred. Because you technically want to use the Kindred ulti first, so everyone is low, even from the other team, because they're also around the Kindred ulti, and then you use the Taric ulti after, so you can finish them off and you can't die yourself. That is one of the ways you can use this combo, but it requires move and Hillslang to have great synergy in how to use it. One guy who uses it too late or too early can kind of mess up the entire thing, and then you either stack it, or you're too late on both.
And this is the problem with assuming the synergy on the roster is capable of utilizing that composition. It's rough. They've built themselves something that requires a lot of coordination, but is very powerful. We've yet to see them execute it properly. Good idea. Execution still needs work.
Not been possible for them, again, as we talked about,
Very
with
true.
the way the early game went, with, of course, the composition from Schalke, with the Lucian, with the Nidalee. We get the Rylai's now in the mid lane, so we talked about a Spirit Visage into Rylai's, into Warmox. It's been like the traditional build.
Does that not speak to Schalke understanding their win conditions better, knowing that if they don't give Unicorns a fair fight, in that sense, a straight up 5v5, they just are able to take it to the better?
Again, we praised it early on with the decision for the swap, so they were on the bottom side at the right time. The way they played around the pressure game was correct, so they executed their combo, as we talked about. But then it's also been about a power performance in the mid lane. From a Vladimir, getting a solo kill that normally should never happen in professional play. Surprising Exile, basically. Didn't expect to flash in and then dying, and that gave even more of an advantage for Schalke.
Yeah, and that does go to show. There were a lot of questions asked of this Schalke lineup, like who was going to step up and really be necessarily the carry. Well, at least for this game, the Vlad is filling that role. Fox is showing that he is a very, very solid player who can make big plays and answer the call when needed to. Question is, can he do that consistently? Watching him through the rest of this game, we'll start to get a better idea, but he's already in a great position. And he's really made Exile's first game very difficult to play.
Yeah, the game has slowed down a little bit. Schalke not taking any chances with risky tower dives, knowing they have 3 dragons. So they have, again, another great way of winning the game by going towards that Elder Drake later on. Baron should become the focus now if you are Schalke, because you have the map control. Set up for that Baron here. Use your damage, use the fact you have 1 Mountain Drake as well. And if Unicorns are sitting too far back on the map because you keep pushing in every single lane, you can start that Baron. And you force these team fights where Unicorns are out of position, they're coming in from multiple angles, and that's not what they want. You want to have these Unicorns team fighting together, so they can use the AoE ultis to stay alive. It's the anti-wombo combo, basically. You don't kill anyone with your big AoE ultis, you just
But no one dies
keep your team alive.
on your teammate. Yeah, for Unicorns, you do get the sense that they keep trying for these openings, but how late is too late where they keep giving these dragons up, they keep giving objectives up, and ceding a little bit of ground on the map before they can really reasonably be expected to execute those fights?
I mean, right now, technically, Unicorns can take a fight, but it is very hard for them to win it, and the reason they don't opt into a fight right now is because if they lose, just now, basically, the game is over completely, because you will lose another dragon, you will lose a Baron, and there's no way for you then to really get back in the game, so they're trying to wait for more items, especially on this Twitch, but also on the Victor in mid lane. But they're trying to just buy more time and then get a big fight when they have maybe 3 items completed on the carry, saying now it's our best shot. But the problem is, again, time is against them because of dragons, because Baron being available.
Yeah, it's going to be a little bit tough for them to really do a whole lot. And with the next dragon in 20 seconds, No, it's another one that's completely free. Let's talk a little bit about those the Twitch's items, though, because that's not an item I see every day. Executioner's Calling.
Well, he's obviously building into Mortal Reminder for him, the last whisper choice, and it is good.
I guess it is early. It's good to get like the armor pen a little bit earlier.
I mean,
when you're dealing with a Maokai, for instance.
Well, you want to be able to obviously shut down some of this healing from Schalke. When you have a Vladimir, you have an Italy, you have a Maokai, you have an Alistar.
Yeah.
It works on all of it, so it is 100% the right choice for Veritas. And you want to get that healing reduction because this Schalke lineup, if you don't kill them instantly, if you don't burst them down, they will just keep sustaining and sustaining and sustaining again and again and again. We might even see the same item on move later. Mortal Reminder is often an item choice on Kindred, and against this lineup, it would make perfect sense.
So Unicorns adjusting their itemization, but Schalke keep on collecting those gym badges. This time they pick up the movement speed, obviously not the most useful. We've already ad nauseum talked about this. But now Unicorns make a bold move towards the Baron, and
that's not going to work.
Peel off real quick. Not think they thought that one through.
Trying to see if maybe Schalke was sleeping a little bit, but he has to fight.
Gilius goes on in, but he gets rat-a-tat-tatted down. Not before Move will manage to pick up a kill onto Veritas in the back. The fight is crazy, a lot of invulnerability, but it's going to get popped. The double kill to Rales as he's untouched in the back line, looking for Chachi. They took out Hilly, and now Exile is going to be all by his lonesome. A triple kill for Rales. And Schalke, Null Fear, cleaning up the fight.
Again, we talk about how Unicorns, they're trying to wait for more items, but they just don't have the time with all these objectives going down. Schalke here, Spruttle had a great play in the fight, knocking Veritas out of the Kindred ult so they could take him down, even after Gilles kind of jumped in a little bit too aggressive here. Chachi, I don't think you are able to steal this Baron.
He does try to be a nuisance, but the Baron will in the end.
Jump from him. Okay.
Okay. All right. He goes back in time. Can't try the Baron again, though.
Technically, there was no smite on the side of Schalke.
That is true. So it was, don't want to call it a 50-50.
No. You can coordinate damage among 4 members compared to just Chachi alone.
Yep. So let's look at this fight again because Julius just went ham started off.
Basically, Schalke is yelling, fight is on. Look at Spruttle in this fight here. Straight onto Veritas with the Q flash. Knocks him then out of what would have been the Kindred ulti, so now suddenly the Twitch is going to die very quickly, and the composition from Unicorns obviously does not have the damage to take down these extremely tanky members. Like, it's like a tank comp from Schalke with so much sustain from all the tanks. Alistar, the Maokai, the Vladimir. It is so annoying for Unicorns to play against, and they just need that opening where they burst down 1 or 2 targets. But Veritas will always get CC'd by either Maokai or the Alistar in these fights.
Really importantly, Rales picked up 3 kills in that fight. Big amount of gold dropping into his pocket after he had really been relegated to just picking up assists prior to it. And yes, Veritas, for Unicorn's fights to succeed, it seems like they really need to they need to be the ones starting that fight, but Schalke have been the ones being much more proactive in this entire game.
I actually like how we see the build order here from Vladimir again, not going just full tank, as we mentioned that a lot of people have done earlier, but just instead saying, no, I actually need more damage here because you have enough tankiness already, and it's about getting to these carries from Unicorns of Love and just trying to blow them down or blow them up, basically.
When they can bump and bop the Twitch, there's not nearly as much AD damage left. It's pretty much Kindred that you're worried about, so he doesn't even need to itemize armor or anything like that, too. So his Spirit Visage and his passive and everything is fairly sufficient. At this point, Schalke are just starting to really run rampant over this map. Unicorn scrambling to try and stay alive.
Mr. Schalke is pushing it. I'm not sure why my brain stopped before I said the up part in the end.
It's all right.
We got it.
I got your back whenever you need a brain break. I'll be the color. I'm the color caster now.
That's fine, Pirate. What do you want to talk about?
Dragons. Nowhere near dragon. Nah. Okay. Never mind. You go back.
You fired. Fired. That was it.
That was awful.
You had 1 point.
Okay. So, Unicorn's hanging on here. Schalke actually a little bit battered, and they shouldn't push in this without getting another reliable wave. It is, of course, on the way, and there's really not anything else going on the rest of the map for them to really reliably take at the moment. They just keep pressing this advantage. This is just such a big difference over what we saw last year last split from Elements even.
They are respecting the fact they can't just dive straight on. It's risky for them at least to dive. Again, with the amount of AoE survivability from Unicorn. Everything is about Veritas. Schalke also can just wait for Spraddle to get his flash back up. And then every time the fight starts, he will just Q flash on Veritas and knock him with headbutt out of the Kindred ulti. And then again, remember this Taric ulti, it takes time to charge it up. 2.5 seconds, if I remember 100% correct. So it's not like Hillzan can react instantly. He knows the Kindred ulti is on the ground, and that's the timing he has in his head. If Veritas suddenly gets knocked out of that one, well, he's gonna die, because the Taric ulti won't be there instantly to save him.
Power's starting to go real low, though, and in goes the flash from Spraddle to start this fight, and Exile is evaporated. Move on the backside, trying to punish Gilius here. A little bit low, but he can't finish the job. Forcing the flash out, though, instead. A Culling on to move. Headbutt pull, then Rallis will get another kill. Chachi does answer back, slaying Gilius, but they've lost 3 members. Veritas has to back away in the top lane. That's gonna be Inhibitor, and it might be more for Schalke.
Yeah, they're pushing in towards the Nexus turrets here. No one died except for Gilius in that last fight. But we're used to that now, because 2 team fights and twice he's died, poor guy. First of all, he's the guy jumping in. Also, this one he just got focused in the back. But one more time, Unicorns are never allowed to sit 5 together and set up this combo. Spraddle just instantly engages. Move was on the other side of the fight, and he just goes straight for Exile. Taric cannot save him in time because of the charge time, and that's a kill.
Not able to exact the delicate execution they needed. So the next Cloud Drake, easily taken by Schalke. They continue to stack them up, and obviously this will be the last normal dragon of the game.
Such a letdown.
It's going to be a big bonus, though, from everything else they've already stacked up.
Man, if you just killed that dragon before, slightly later, this would have been an Elder Dragon. Now it's a stupid Cloud Drake. And now you gotta wait 10 minutes.
They're going to have to do this again. I mean, look at how fast they popped Exile, though. This is a team that is just so much stronger at the moment, and Unicorns can barely hold on to their base.
Again, Unicorns are playing a comp that is very, very hard to execute. And as soon as they're out of position, engage instantly from Spraddle. He is a massive Alistar main. We've seen it time and time again. And while Alistar did get some nerfs, pretty impactful ones.
Spraddle didn't get any, though.
There's still
He's fine.
A lot of value in picking him. And in this case, good engages every single time for him. Almost 100% kill participation.
Yeah. It's that one kill. That's that one,
That's the
one
first
solo kill.
Man, that's why you're angry at your mid laner. Look at these solo
did you ruin my
kills.
score? All right, so we're about 36 minutes in. It's still going to be a while before the Elder Drake spawns. Steve might be in a world of hurt. No, okay. No, everyone's
He's
back
Maokai,
up.
like him.
Yeah. I thought they were moving for him, but he's got a GA. They're not going to kill the tree.
Instead, we are basically waiting for Schalke to set up for another Baron.
Well, they've got a minute to try and figure out how to do that.
Yeah,
Probably longer, but
move into the river, you place pink walls around it, and
congratulations.
you are
That's
ready
Baron.
to start the Baron so that Unicorns will have to come in and fight you. No flash for Spraddle. It is key for him. I keep mentioning it over and over because it is massive in these fights, getting to the back line. At the same time, now we set up for Baron. If you are Schalke 04, you can now just start pushing on top side.
And there's not a whole lot they can do. The Unicorns are pretty spread thin trying to defend in the mid with their downed inhibitor. They've got Chachi on the bottom side pushing against Fox, who he shouldn't really be able to solo in. Just the one Mountain Drake and the edge that they've already gotten in levels, items, everything.
Yep.
That is an easy tower take, giving them even more breathing space to try and threaten this Baron.
It's a great game 1 from Schalke. Great start to the split. And Unicorns of Love, we mentioned this beforehand. You know, before we came into this game, 3 big changes, 2 Koreans coming, a rookie mid laner. It is hard to expect a whole lot from the get-go. It's a work in progress for sure. And I just want to see what Sheepy can do with the team. But Schalke, again, if Unicorns end up being a bottom 4 team, these games are even more important because it seems like Schalke and Splice are trying to push other teams down and then step on them and move further up the rankings to try and get into the top 6.
As anticipated, but
Right. If we compare to last split,
yeah.
Compared to last split, so these kind of games are so important because this can be what makes basically the deciding factor of who gets number 6 potentially.
Remember,
who
this
goes
is
down
still
and
just
plays
game 1 though.
Yeah, I know.
A lot
Very
to think
early
about
on,
going
very
forward.
early.
That's the Baron secured. They're gonna start looking for the fight. Teleport will complete. Spraddle is actually a little low in this one. They might be able to pick him off, stun him in the gravity field, but not enough damage to finish him off. And now Chachi's health bar is chunked out. Fox rolls on through and takes down Move. Meanwhile, Chachi on the run gets his GA pop. Fox will not be sated though. He is going to keep thirsting for the Echo. Hemoplague on, off-screen Rallis splats the rat. Unicorns are just melting here, and there's not a whole lot they can do. It's only Exile to try and save the game, and it does not look likely.
That was the Baron setup, Pyra. Unicorns once again coming in from different angles, but they want to be together, and they never managed to execute a fight.
No!
Exile, welcome to the LCS.
Welcome to the LCS. Here's your first loss. 39 minutes on the clock. Schalke, UOL dominate the Unicorns of Love.
What a great Vladimir pick in the mid lane. Great performance. Schalke understood how to play around pressure, got some good early dragons, and then sadly had to get 2 Cloud ones, but whatever.
Oh, well, you know.
Overall, I mean,
They covered their bases, Deficio.
great first game for them, and exactly what they need. But it's not over yet. There's a BO2, there's another game now. You go and you adapt, you switch sides.
There's time for the Unicorns to sit and figure out really where they went wrong, maybe adjust once again in picks and bans, and to prepare for something like that Vlad pickup.
Yeah, definitely a composition that looked very exciting on paper. With the whole protect the Twitch, with your Kindred, with your Taric.
Right.
But very, very hard to execute. And we saw Unicorn struggle so much early on in the game, never really got to set up anything, never had a slower early game where they could actually get to team fights. Also because they died in mid lane, as an example, had troubles in the bottom lane because of Lucian always pushing in. And Schalke just honestly snowballed the game out of control. And we never got to see this composition really shine from the Unicorns.
Yeah.
And you mentioned it in the game, synergy-wise, maybe this is not the thing you want to run week 1 when you're still building synergy.
Well, it was bold of them to try for something that was difficult to pull off, and kudos to them for that effort, but maybe this is a wake-up call. Okay, we need to go back to some basics. We need to try something a little simple. It's kind of a similar story to what we saw from Splice, actually, in the Spring Split, where they tried these complicated compositions that did not net them any victories. Obviously, it's way early to tell. One game,
they've
got a chance to come back against Schalke, but we are going to make some serious conclusions, after series especially. I'm excited to see how far the Schalke team can go based on that performance. If they can take a 2-0, that's quite a lot of hype to build up. Obviously, the branding was a big selling point for them. The upgrade in the mid lane was a selling point for them. But they've kind of shown up and delivered so far. Just one game, just against the Unicorn.
Yes.
Can they do it again? That's the question.
And I want to see if this Vladimir is going to be banned away in the next game.
I think you might think about that.
Or maybe Exile can take it himself. I mean, it's a pick that's been around in solo queue ever since the rework.
Yeah, that's true.
Been used quite a bit in solo queue by multiple mid laners, and that's why we highlighted earlier in the day. We're not surprised that like Vladimir and Swain, these picks are being used. Obviously, Swain has been a big deal over in other regions, but it's great to finally see it, for ourselves here in Europe. And great performance.
Yeah, excellent, really work all across the board for that team. Interesting to note how far the games we've seen today on this first stream have been very one-sided in terms of Dragon priority. Partially, it's because of map control. Partially, though, it's because teams that haven't really been stepping up to the plate, they've been turning almost a blind eye. We've seen them get a tower, and then they're like, okay, we'll just back. And then they give up an Infernal Drake. And you're like, well, yeah, you could do that last split, but why are you doing that now?
Yeah, basically, we've had 3 games now here on stream 1. Every game, it's been all the dragons on one team until we got to Elder Drakes. Obviously, Origin picked up one of them. Yeah. But before that, just all the dragons stacking up only to one team. The other team didn't get anything. This game was the same. Unicorns got nothing at all. Didn't even get a Baron.
Yeah.
Like, got no objectives.
They couldn't even get those Cloud Drakes that even Schalke didn't want.
Yeah. No, I really just a big difference in priority. And that's something we're going to see evolve even more in the meta. Teams figure out how to draft around and how to always position themselves on the right side of the map when these dragons are alive in the setups, and that's what Schalke did with the swap.
Very true. Now, we're going to go ahead and update you guys what's going on over in the LCS Studio stream number 2. Splice, they are leading 1-0 currently, and we're going to go ahead and send it over to commercial for the time being. Game 2 between Schalke 04 and the UOL is coming up next. Don't go anywhere.